Years ago, the world looked to the sky in awe, not for planes or stars, but for heroes. The most legendary among them were Team Zenith, superhumans working under the government's watchful eye. At the center of this elite team were two brothers, Jack Shepherd, a charming and daring man known as Captain Zoom for his lightning-fast speed, and his older brother, Connor, code-named Concussion, who possessed immense telekinetic power. But their powers weren't natural. They were enhanced through a military experiment involving an unstable energy source called Gamma-13. While it made Jack faster than the human eye could see, it began to corrupt Connor's mind. As the experiment took its toll, Connor lost control. The bond between brothers was shattered when Connor, driven mad by the Gamma-13, turned against his own team. One by one, he eliminated the other Zenith members in a catastrophic betrayal that left the world shaken. Jack, heartbroken and powerless to reason with his brother, was forced into an impossible decision. In a final act of desperation, he used his speed to create a vortex and trap Connor in another dimension. The explosion from that event stripped Jack of his powers and effectively disbanded Team Zenith. The world moved on, unaware that Connor was still alive, just trapped and waiting. Decades passed. Jack withdrew from the world, now a mechanic with no interest in heroism. He'd buried the past deep, but fate wasn't done with him. At a secret government facility known as Area 52, General Larrabee and Dr. Ed Grant were facing a ticking clock. Satellite data showed an energy fluctuation. Connor was returning. And the military wasn't just planning to stop him, they wanted to weaponize another team, this time using children, under the same Gamma-13 experiments that had doomed Connor. But they needed someone to train these kids, a relic from the past who once lived the life they were about to enter. Jack, of course, wanted nothing to do with it. He was bitter, sarcastic, and convinced the government had ruined everything. But they had leverage, and a paycheck. Begrudgingly, he returned to Area 52, where he met Drive. Marcia Holloway, a quirky but intelligent psychologist and big-time Zenith fangirl. She believed in the project, not for the government's sake, but for the kids. They were just beginning to discover their powers, and they needed guidance, not manipulation. The new recruits were anything but polished. First up was Dylan West, a 17-year-old who discovered he could turn invisible, though he hadn't mastered when or how. He was aloof and sarcastic, much like Jack, creating a bit of tension right off the bat. Then there was Summer Jones, age 16, quiet but intense. She had strong telekinetic abilities and could also sense emotions. Tucker Williams, a chubby and cheerful 12-year-old, had the strange power to inflate his body like a balloon, hands, feet, head, you name it. And last, but certainly not least, was 6-year-old Cindy Collins. Don't let the pigtails fool you, this tiny powerhouse could lift a truck with one hand and throw it across the yard without blinking. Training began, and it was a disaster. Jack had zero interest in inspiring anyone. His approach was more, figure it out yourselves than team building. The kids were frustrated and confused, and the constant government surveillance didn't help. Jack made sarcastic jokes, complained about the coffee, and treated the whole thing like a chore. But underneath it all, there were cracks in his armor, small signs that he hadn't totally forgotten what it meant to be a hero. The turning point came when the kids called Jack out. They weren't soldiers, they were just kids. And unlike Jack, they didn't ask for any of this. Slowly, Jack began to soften. He changed his methods, made training fun, and even started to bond with them. One of the most memorable moments was when he snuck them out of the base in a flying saucer and took them on a joyride, ending up in a Wendy's drive-thru. It was silly, reckless, and exactly what the kids needed, a glimpse of normalcy in their not-so-normal lives. As their powers grew, so did their connection to each other. Cindy became the heart of the group, small in size but fearless, often putting herself in danger to protect the others. Summer, despite her calm demeanor, revealed a fierce determination to prove her worth. Dylan's sarcasm masked deep fears of being left behind. And Tucker, well, he may have been the comic relief, but his creativity with his weird powers turned out to be surprisingly useful. Meanwhile, Dylan began experiencing strange visions. He called it mindsight, a new power that allowed him to see flashes of the future. What he saw terrified him. The military wasn't just training them, they planned to expose the kids to Gamma-13, just like Connor and Jack. They weren't trying to protect the kids, they were using them as bait in hopes that one of them might become strong enough to take out Concussion. Jack was furious. He confronted the military, but they brushed it off as classified protocol. It was Dr. Marcia Holloway who helped Jack realize the truth. The only way to protect these kids was to finish the mission their way, not the military's. When Concussion finally returned, his power was more unstable than ever. He tore through the sky like a comet, ready to destroy anything in his path. The kids were terrified, but they stood their ground. They weren't just kids anymore, they were a team. The final battle was intense. Concussion arrived at Area 52, his mind still clouded by the Gamma-13. The government fired a net designed to neutralize him, but it malfunctioned and nearly hit Cindy. At that moment, Jack's powers, long dormant, burst back to life. Fueled by love and desperation, he sped to her side in a flash. He was Zoom again. With his speed restored, Jack recreated the vortex, hoping to trap Connor once more. But this time, he didn't want to destroy his brother, he wanted to save him. As the energy storm raged, the kids used their powers to stabilize the vortex and direct concussion into the heart of it. At the last second, drive. Grant intervened with new tech that drained the Gamma-13 energy from Connor, reversing the damage it had done. Connor collapsed, weak, confused, but finally free. In the aftermath, things returned to a strange kind of normal. Jack stayed on as the team's mentor, finally finding a purpose he didn't want to run from. Dr. Holloway joined him, and their dynamic, filled with awkward charm and unspoken chemistry, hinted at something more. The kids went back to school, but continued training in secret. The world didn't know about them yet, but it would. Team Zenith was back, just a little younger, and a whole lot cooler.
Let me know what movie you want me to cover next. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell.